Hey, you guys, you know what time it is? It's another episode of The Tea is Toxic. And I thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time being here, hey, what's up? How you doing? Take a seat, put on your seatbelt. It's going to get a little weird. But I like a little weird. I'm a nerd, y'all. I don't know if y'all like a little weird, but I give weird, okay? If you meet me in real life, you're going to be like, she's cool, but she's weird. So sorry, not sorry for that, y'all. Now, we're going to get into this first part of the story, which is how did we get here? Okay, this is getting a little crazy. So I'm on Instagram, and I follow a lot of different pages, like creepy stories and damn nature, you scary, that kind of stuff, right? And so I ran into a story, and I was like, oh my gosh, this one's really crazy, and I should do this as a main story. So I'm like, let me go do some research, right? Because I can't do a podcast off of a 30-second reel, okay? So I'm like, all right, let me go read this story. Let me go research it a little bit. And I go to do some research, and I'm like, whoa. There is so much more to this than that 30-second reel could give, and this is wild. But then, amidst it, I was like, you know what? This seems to be like a common situation. How often do these kinds of stories happen? And as I stated before, this is a page about toxic encounters, situations, and moments that happen throughout time and in people's lives. And this definitely covers it, but then I had to double down and give you two more stories. So let me make it very clear to you guys today. We are not doing an hour and a half episode because each one's 30 minutes. No. We're going to condense it all because these are all wildly toxic stories that happened. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sum it up for you guys. Toxic opinion in short. Next story. Okay, so I really want to give it about 10 minutes each one. Y'all can count down if you want to. If you don't like it, go ahead. Be my guest. That's fine. And be like, all right, girl, you at your 10-minute mark. Let's move on. Y'all can treat me like a pastor in the church where they say, you know, give me one more minute. Take your time. Give me some take your time energy, okay? Can y'all do that for me? Can y'all give me some take your time, pastor kind of energy? I really appreciate it. I really would. Anyway, let's get into these stories. They're short, they're sweet, they're to the point, but chances are there's going to be a lot of opinion. And by all means, once again, do not hesitate to write out your opinion at the bottom or in the comments, in the suggestions box. And shout out to everyone who listened last week, who gave me some really important feedback, because I'm very big on getting feedback on how things are going, how I'm sounding, all of that. It's important because while I enjoy hearing my own voice, I want to make sure that you guys are having a good time listening as well. Unless, what are we doing this for? Right? Because it's kind of like I'm just talking to myself in the dark. So needless to say, I want to know what y'all are thinking as well. And like I say at the end, if you have anything that you want me to talk about, we can talk about that next. So here we go. All right. So in March of 1995, there was a man named Terry Cottle, and he had actually killed himself. Okay, it was a gunshot wound to the throat. So he shot himself in the throat. He ended up on life support. Now, his wife was very distraught about this. She tried to, hold off on pulling the plug, seeing if maybe he would get better. But after 4 days and no changes, she did decide to end the life support of Terry, okay? But what she did do to kind of keep his legacy going is she donated his organs, okay? Now, this organ donation focuses on one of the donors or recipients, and that is 57-year-old Sonny Graham. Now, Sonny ended up getting Terry's heart, okay, which is great. His family's great. He's not 6 feet under. He's doing good now. His heart's getting better, since the transplant. And his wife and his children are encouraging him like, hey, listen, Pops, hubby, we think that you should go to counseling. Even his pastor is like, start some therapy. One of the reasons why are we starting therapy? Because this is a massive change in your life. You were literally a ticking time bomb for the doomed death creature, okay? So you knew death was knocking on your door, and you fought it. Like, you overcame it. You know what I mean? In a sense, you cheated death. And so they're like, look, that's a lot to process. You have a second chance at life. Go ahead and take the time to really center yourself, get the therapy for anything that you may be feeling internally that we can't help you with. But Sonny was like, I ain't doing none of that. Okay, cool, whatever. What he does decide to do instead is to start writing letters to Terry's wife. Terry, once again, is the man that is the start of this whole storyline, okay? So he starts writing letters to his donor's wife, and they start communicating over a span of 10 years, okay? I think one of the things that maybe drew them together was the fact that things about Sonny were starting to change, and there were similarities of Terry that were starting to manifest in Sonny, such as little things like Sonny didn't like hot dogs and beer. But now all of a sudden, now that he's gotten this new heart, he's chugging in and lugging them. You get what I'm saying? Hot dogs and beer all day, which is something that was Terry's favorite food. Well, here's the catch, you guys. After the 10 years of conversing, Cheryl, the wife, and Sonny end up married. But the catch is, remember I said earlier, Sonny had a wife. So, Shorty, how did you guys end up married? Oh, that's quite easy. What had happened was, Terry was having an affair. I'm sorry, not Terry. Sonny was having an affair on his wife. His 57-year-old man. Once he started communicating with Cheryl and they started getting to know each other and writing letters back and forth, they took things to the next level, and he started having an affair with Cheryl, and over time eventually left his wife to marry Cheryl, the dead man's wife. It was over a span of 10 years, and that's got to be hard for the wife, because it's like, really? When I said you got a new chance at life, I didn't mean a new chance at love also. But he took it and he ran with it. Now, the wild part is within the 12 years, and I was looking into that, it looks as though maybe it was 12 years after Sonny received the heart, which would be about 2 years into their marriage, he ended up passing away. But the wild part is he passed away the same way Terry did, and that was by a gunshot to the throat. The end. And I thought this was so interesting because when I was listening to the reel that started this whole situation, I was like, oh, that's so sweet, but that's so weird. And you know what it is? One of the things that drew me to this is because there's no rest for the wicked. None. Now, I don't know what it is about Cheryl that's got these men trying to get out of here quick, fast, and in a hurry. She might want to sort that out. But the way that Sonny went about starting this relationship with Cheryl was completely disrespectful. And I remember the Tyler Perry's Why Did I Get Married? The 80-20 rule, Mike, right? It's literally the same thing. You went ahead and you traded in your 80 for your 20, and you ended up just like the last husband. And furthermore, why would you want to be with a woman whose last husband had that situation going on? Clearly, there's something going on behind closed doors you don't know about. You see, people can play pretty and they can keep it real cute when you're not living together. But once you start living together, you start calling yourself being a team, you can find out some very ugly things about people. That's when they fart smell different. You don't like the way they brush their teeth. They don't clean no dishes. They don't clean their home. They don't take care of their kids. You know, they don't pay their bills. There's a 1,000 different things you can find out that'll have you resenting the individual you're with. And 10 years or not, if y'all are not living together for 10 years, you don't really know who you're talking to. You only know what they let you see. And it looks as though Sonny found himself in a situation where Cheryl was only showing him what she wanted him to see. And then after all the bliss and all the fun and the humping and dumping, next thing you know, Sonny wasn't having it either. Now, some people think it might have been like, you know, Sonny's inner Terry. Like maybe he had the ghost of Terry in him. And maybe that's why that happened again. I will say this, if I did believe in ghosts, which I'm not sure whether or not I do, one thing I know is if I pass away and somebody donates my organs and I have to come back to life to relive the relationship that I just tried to get out of, oh yeah, we're going to have some problems. We're going to have some real big problems. And it looks like that's exactly what happened for Sonny. The ghost of Terry came through, was like, nah, son, anyone but this. Anyone but her. Why did you leave the wife? I liked the wife. Why you pick the 20 over the 80? Now, rest in peace to both of these men. And I do feel for Cheryl. I think that that's a really unfortunate situation that she went through that more than once. But girl, you had a husband. Taking another woman's husband ain't it. And shorty, it low-key gives karma. So, watch your back. Now, mind you, this all happened through the 90s into the early 2000s. I don't know where Cheryl is now. Hopefully she's not married again. Was that mean? Maybe it was. I don't know. But needless to say, she doesn't have a good track record with married men as far as being their wife. So it might be best for Shorty to just start taking some cruises around the world, sightseeing, helping with the grandkids. But anything but getting married. Stay away from the men's because Black Widow all day. Next story, you guys. Like I said, we're going to get through these ones pretty quick. Now, in Belgium, mind you, I forgot to tell y'all, I'm doing a little piece of all over the world. So just work with me. We started with the U.S. Now we're going to go ahead and go over to Belgium, okay? David Berton. Okay, I might be saying the name wrong, but we're going to go with it. David Berton. He is actually a well-known Belgium TikToker who passed away. Okay? It was a really tragic situation back then for the people that really loved him. And his daughter had even written on social media. She wrote a tribute to her dad. And I'm going to go ahead and read the tribute. It said, "Rest in peace, Daddy. I will never stop thinking about you. Why is life so unfair? Why you? You were going to be a grandfather, and you still had your whole life ahead of you. I love you. We love you. And we will never forget you." Which is absolutely beautiful, y'all. Now, the funeral was held near the city of Liege the following weekend, which is normal, might I add. I always think anybody that keeps a body on ice longer than about a week and a half, 2 weeks, it gets a little creepy. Unless they're going to another, country or something like that, going back home to where they came from, all of that, that makes sense. But just leaving a body on ice to just cook, no. We're not gonna deep condition a body. Let's get it in, let's get it out. And that's exactly what they did. The following weekend after his death, it was time to have this funeral. The funeral was attended by dozens of friends and family members. They were dressed in black. They were waiting for the ceremony to begin. And then in the middle of the ceremony, when they're waiting for it to start, a helicopter starts flying over, the cemetery, like the helicopter's really over them, like skirts flying in the air. Everybody's trying to shield themselves. What the fuck? And so the helicopter lands and out jumps David, the alleged dead man. And on top of that, he has the audacity to have a camera crew hop out with him. And he greets everybody and he's like, "Cheers to you all. Welcome to my funeral." Oh, what, David? What are you talking about? So he got mixed emotions on this one, you guys. Some people were relieved that he had been returned from the dead. They ran through the field like the color purple, and they started running to him to give him a hug. And then some people stayed in their spot. They were pissed. They were like, hell is you doing here? I took off work for this. They told me to come back with, an obituary. Like, what is going on here? They were not happy with Barron, okay? They made him explain himself as he should, okay? And this was his feedback on why he did what he did. Barron, or David, said he didn't like the treatment his family and friends had been giving him. His words, quote, "What I see in my family often hurts me. I never get invited to anything. Nobody sees me. We all grew apart. I feel unappreciated. That's why I wanted to give them a life lesson and show them that you shouldn't wait until someone is dead to meet up with them." Now, y'all, this man has nearly 165,000 followers. And he said since the prank, there are loved ones that continue to reach out to him, and it proves to him that they really care about him. And then those who didn't make it to the funeral ended up reaching out to him afterwards to make sure he was good when they found out he was still alive. So for him, he says it's a, quote, in a way, I did win. First of all, you didn't win. You are a narcissist. Okay, that's what that is. I might not be a doctor licensed. Okay, I'm not a therapist professionally. But if this doesn't give narcissism, I don't know what does. If this doesn't give gaslighting, I don't know what does. You do not create a scenario that impacts so many people on such a heavy range and say it's because you didn't get invited to a birthday party. Grow the hell up. If you are grown enough for your daughter to write on her goodbye that you were about to be a grandfather, then you grown enough to know if you feel a way about somebody, you pick up that damn phone yourself and you talk to them. I don't know about y'all. I'm aggressive, but if this ain't the most passive aggressive shit I've ever seen in my life, let me pretend to die so I can see who really finna be there for me. Newsflash, David. If I were at that funeral, it would be the last time you saw me. Because that to me was extremely manipulative, extremely toxic. And there's 1,000 other ways to get your point across and say what you need to say to the people that you feel like you care for that don't care for you. If you are that afraid of conflict, then maybe they aren't the problem. Maybe it's you. You ever consider the fact you got to stop getting invited to things because you wanted to create content every time you turned around? Mr. 165,000 followers, and popping out with a news camera and cameramen so that the newspapers and everyone can catch it? You don't think that gives manipulation? You think maybe there's a chance they stopped inviting you because you didn't want to come to anything? One thing I can't stand, and I think we all got that in the family, we already know, okay, I'm going to invite you, but I know you're not coming, but you still want the invite, or you're going to have an attitude. Ain't that a bitch? You're going to get mad at me for not inviting you when I know you're not coming. You want the invitation in hand so that you can be the decider that says, oh, I'm not going to be there. Why didn't you invite me? Bitch, because you don't ever come. You don't show up to anything. You're not outside. You're inside with the covers, and that's okay. But don't have me waste hard stock paper to send you something you just going to put up on your refrigerator. What are you? Are you hoarding invitations, David? I didn't like this one. I felt like I said, it was extremely toxic and it was nasty. I think there's a better way to handle talking to the people you care about. But like I said, this guy literally jumped out of a helicopter like he was at his own concert. He thought he was Beyonce. What is that? You're not Beyonce. That's not what we're doing. You're not her. She's not you. You are David. And David needs to stay in David's lane and not do this nonsense anymore. Now, I will say I don't condone violence. But David, if you do this nonsense again, instead of just calling people and telling them how you feel, somebody needs to knock you upside your head. Because there's no way in the world that makes sense to anyone. I'm happy David's alive. I'm sure his family is happy that he's alive. I wish we all could have someone we love dearly come popping out of a helicopter talking about some surprise. But I tell you what, let any of my loved ones pop up out of a helicopter right now screaming surprise. And we're going to have to tussle before we go out to eat. Because no way you've been faking your death. You got the right family here. We're going to go to our third story, which takes place in Germany. I told y'all we're going to get through these ones. And by all means, let me know what y'all think. Now, this one might be the longest one because there are a couple layers here, but we're going to get into it. The woman's name is Sharabana. Okay, she's a beautician and a social media influencer. In August of 2022, she told her parents that she was meeting up with her ex-husband, and then hours later, she did not come home. Her parents are calling and texting, but there's no response, so they start searching the area that she said she was going to be at. A little after midnight on August 16th, they found their daughter's car in a quiet neighborhood. Now, they wanted to announce that the car was a Mercedes. Congratulations, but nonetheless, they found the car. They look in the back seat and they see a body. So now they're freaking out. They're trying to get in the car, but the doors are locked. They call the police, and the police help them get into the car. And in the back seat is the body of a dead woman, or the dead body of a woman. I'm sorry, y'all. And she had been stabbed up, right? So she had been stabbed so many times in her face that it was actually disfigured. And then they removed the body and they confirmed the ownership of the car as being Sharabana's, the daughter. And then the parents confirmed the identity of the body, which is their daughter, Sharabana. Now, the family and police take to the media in hopes of locating the killer. You know how it goes. It's time to get out the dogs. It's time to find out who did this nonsense, who stabbed this poor woman in her face. But it starts getting a little weird because when they're putting the information out there to try and find the killer, they're getting the wrong kind of calls. Okay, they're supposed to be getting the calls like, yeah, I saw this man walking around with a knife and a white mask, and it's October 31st, and we think this might be the guy. No, what they're getting instead are locals calling and going, that woman's not dead. We just saw her driving around. Now, mind you, during this time, the autopsy is also being conducted. And then they also do some fingerprints. So the face was all messed up, unfortunately. But even with the face being as mutilated as it was, based off of certain features that were still on the face, that's why the parents had decided, no, this is our daughter, Sharabana. But the fingerprints end up coming in. And the fingerprints did not match their daughter. So what the police end up having to do is backtrack back to the public to announce, okay, we got some doubts here. We don't think that this is the girl. And, we're going to need some tips calling in. The tips come in, the updates come in, and it ends up being a 23-year-old woman in the back car who's named Khadija, who also lived in Germany, but she lived about 100 miles away from Sharabana. So here's the tea on what really happened, and this is when it gets toxic. So these women looked very similar. Most people know what that's called. It's a doppelganger. We all got one out there. I was told in my younger years that I looked like Vanessa from The Cosby Show. I used to hate it, but fine. We both got long foreheads. I'll take it. So the police, they go and they tap into Sharabana's social media to find out what's going on, right? Let's go to this woman's IP. Let's see what's been happening here so we can see if we can find her and find out how in the world this other woman ended up in the back of her car. When they go to her social media, they find out that she has 5 fake IG accounts. And she's using these accounts to reach out to women who look like her or as close to her as possible. She would then gaslight these women into trying to meet up with her by offering them things and pretending like she was other people. And that's exactly what she did with Khadija. She posed as a rapper in their area that was well known and offered her an opportunity to star in the new rap video. But Khadija felt like it was a sketchy situation because if you're famous, where's your blue check? This is back in the day before IG decided to let everybody have blue checks. This is when, you had to have a certain media platform and presence, things like that in order to be certified or verified, in order to be verified online. So she didn't see the blue check. What she actually does is she reaches out to the rapper directly. And that was a long stretch because quote unquote famous people or people coming to the rise and things like that, you already know how it works. If I'm not following you and you message me, there's a good chance I'm not going to get it. But she got lucky because the rapper did reach back out to her and let her know, hey, that is definitely a fake account. Do not answer it. It's a catfish. I did not offer you an opportunity to be in my rap video. So Khadijah's like, all right, gun. This is good to know. Let me go ahead and move accordingly. That was clearly fake. It was a fall through for Sharabana, but she was not going to give up because this girl and her looked so much alike, she just had to have her. So she uses another fake account and offers her beauty products, okay? The girl falls for it and agrees to meet up at her apartment. So what happens is the day that Sharabana told her parents, I'll be back, I gotta go talk to my ex-husband. Her and her ex-husband had actually got in the car and drove the 100 miles to Khadijah's home. They pick her up. She gets in the car for her products. And instead of them getting her to a product store or whatever the case may be, if they were going to do some kind of photo op, whatever, they end up driving her into a wooded area. Okay? When they get to the wooded area, they pull her body out and they start scabbing her up. They stabbed her about 50 times to the face and the body. Then they put her in the back seat and head back home to a residential area where the car could be found. Now the catch is All of this was because Sharabana said that she had family stress that she was dealing with at home, and she wanted to get away from all of the chaos that was happening. Naturally, of course, these two are in jail. Everybody was found out. The truth comes out. But what was never found was the murder weapon. They could not place it. They didn't know where it was. That is the end of that story. That is trifling. That is toxic. That is to the extreme, to the max, unnecessary. I feel for Khadijah because I wish that she had realized, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't get fooled again, right? Because, girl, it doesn't matter if this was products or not. You had just come off of a different catfish page reaching out to you. Now you have this new one and you jump at it. And what's so wild about it is Charabana was a beautician already and a social media influencer. So why not just use your influence to link up with Khadijah? You created these fake accounts, but it's all from what? The same computer, the same phone, the same laptop? You're getting caught, fool. Goofy, clown. You're getting caught. And might I add, for the ex-husband, X stands for something. It means excommunicated, extinct, X don't kill nobody. I'm getting so confused by these stories where these men that were has-beens, including with Sherry Papini's situation, are coming in to help these women do some of the most egregious acts. And what is this, in the name of love? Or is this like you trying to get one more leg? What is the situation? You had your whole life ahead of you. You never had to help this woman. Y'all are divorced. Divorced. And not for nothing, the woman doesn't care anything about you either. Because if she could sneak and trick Khadijah, then she could have got herself a man and tricked him into taking her too. Because once you put him in it, he's in it. But you're going to come and plot with this girl for what? And what kills me about it was this. This is what makes it even weirder. As the whole point of you faking your death was to get away from your family situation because it was so toxic, why are you in the same town? Why are you in the same neighborhood? Why didn't you jump flight, get on a train, head somewhere else? You're sitting right there, but you ain't playing out the money. You didn't plan out the travel. What, you just needed a break to get to Starbucks? Your parents already let you at the house, shorty. It's not like you were on lockdown. Okay? This is not Keep Sweet documentary. Literally, you're free. It doesn't seem like there's much of a stress factor here, if anything. I'd say the stressful one is you. I'd say the family's probably better off with you behind bars because you seem to create your own chaos. You are your own chaos and you love drama. I don't know if this woman was dumped on her head as a child. And they say that a lot of killers and serial killers, they've had a fall, right? They hit their head at a young age that affects their ability to feel empathy or understanding for others. Grabbing a stranger, and more importantly, a girl that you reached out to that looks like you, it almost gives you just weren't brave enough to do it to yourself. And I do not condone suicide in any way. I really hope that nobody feels that way in their life, that they need to do that in order to be freed. But doing that to a woman that you felt looked just like you, it gives icky. It gives weird vibes. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I didn't get a chance to see how long she was locked up, but I'm hoping they put her under the jail. I'll tell you this much. You better be happy that it was damn Germany, because in the U.S., they'd had your ass under the bar. They'd have gave you a couple of life sentences for a stunt like this. Especially playing on the police top, playing with their time, their resources, and their energy while driving around sipping macchiatos. Are you kidding me, girl? You could have done 1,000 different things with your time. Whatever issues you were having, you could have just sorted out. But who knows? Maybe jail or prison is the freedom that you were hoping to get. These are the 3 stories, y'all. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, it was going to be a little shorter today, especially with the stories, because it was just like, these things were so wild to me when I was researching. I was just going down a rabbit hole of one story after the other, And I was like, this shit is crazy. But the stories weren't long enough to make it a whole episode. So I wanted to combine it, give y'all a little bit of variety, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. Let me know if there's anybody you want me to talk about or any situation in time that was toxic that you want me to discuss. I definitely think that these 3 stories were toxic in their own right for different reasons. You had one man manipulating his family. You had another woman manipulating the law enforcement. And then you had another man, manipulating his opportunity to live life a second time, and he took it for granted anyway. So it's definitely sorry to that heart. Once again, I'll be back again next week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is The Tea is Toxic. And you guys all have a beautiful week. Bye.